some of the NLP4Kids type activities, so you're going to get to play with one of those in just a second. We're also going to be looking at the framework of our business model, but we'll look at some business and marketing type strategies this afternoon as well. But what have you come here looking for? Is there anything that I haven't mentioned today that you really want to find out about today? No, we've got it covered.
I'd like to know what works with children. Do you know, you have experience of that, and particularly from an NLP background.
Yeah.
You know, what from all of that actually works with children. If it works with adults, fine, we know that.
So is this the question, how does NLP fit with children? So can we translate it? Because it's quite clunky. Who are my NLP people, just out of interest? Yeah, NLP language is a bit clunky sometimes, isn't it? There's some big terminology in there, which I think they just did to make it sound a bit more fancy than it really is. But yeah, we have, translated it really. We have made it more comprehensible for children. We have adjusted some of the techniques, as you'll see very shortly. Okay, so we want to know, how does NLP fit with children? What else? What else do you want to find out?
I wanted to know if it has to be restricted to NLP. So there's lots of other things that work.
Yeah.
That's an evidence base, or like CBT, for example, mindfulness, other kind of behaviour techniques that have been used for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you've got the kind of does that exclude everything else?
No. So we answered that one.
Okay.
No, lots of our practitioners have their own businesses, their own brands before they come to NLP4Kids, and they don't just dump that stuff, in favour of doing this. You will know other stuff, and I think, by the nature of it being NLP, it's kind of ultimate flexibility. So if you know other stuff that works, then bring it in and use that too. The only thing I would say is that sometimes it's worthwhile if you're, working with a child on a one-to-one or working in a school, let them know that you're going to do something else other than what they've employed you to be doing, and just check that that's okay. But yes, if you've got other stuff that you can involve, then definitely do, because it's all about the result at the end of the day. Yes.
Are we going to get the breakdown of the costs of just the training and the franchising?
Yep.
Because I read what one entails in terms of the franchising, what we get, but it would be good to know in terms of if you decide just to go on the training.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. We'll cover that. Yes.
I'm interested in why you put that quotation up there, because I'm guessing therefore that you've got school plans for teaching it.
Yes. So work with schools. We work with schools in a variety of different ways. We go into schools and deliver workshops to groups of young people, and we have a programme of 9 different topics, 9 different themes, so things like respect, communication skills, exam stress, so it's quite a wide variety. Each one of those programmes lasts for 10 weeks, so it slots into a nice term very nicely, and we go in for an hour each week. That's one thing that we do. Another thing that we do is we sometimes support children on an individual basis in schools, so we do one-to-one sessions in schools too. Plus, we also work with teachers, sometimes parents in schools, but more often it will be children and then teachers. That's an extension of that, yes.
You said sometimes with parents.
Sometimes with parents, yes.
But I think that it's very important that parents are involved as well.
I completely agree. We'll come back to that a bit later. Yes, I'll tell you a story about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, anything else that's important to add up there in terms of what you want to get from today that you wasn't sure if you were going to get it?
I think the legality of things is also important to be really clear. I think you will touch.
Bless you. When you say legality, is there something specific?
Well, understanding in terms of if you join the franchise and if you don't. In terms of what is the difference, what do you have to...
So which bits you can use and which bits you can't use. Yeah, that's fine. We can go through that as well. Super, good stuff. Alright, so I think we've got it covered. So I had a few NLP people here. Just put your hands up for me again so I can see who you are. Okay, good. Would any of you like to volunteer your definition of what NLP is for the people who are less familiar with it? I can see them all sitting there shaking their heads. Not really, no. It's not an easy one to explain, is it? It's quite tricky. If any of you found a kind of coherent sentence that you can explain it.
A study and practical use of what works for an individual.
Very nice, yeah, I like it.
How we filter reality.
Very nice, yes. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Anyone?
I mean, it's almost like it's about modelling, isn't it? Modelling the best aspects of communication.
Yes, very nice, yeah. I mean, the truth is there's no one thing that really describes what NLP is, because it's made up of lots of different things. Some of it is about how you think, how you're filtering information. Some of it is more around communication and what's coming out of your mouth and going into the ears of somebody else. And some of it too is about how you behave and taking some better behaviours that you might observe in someone else and installing them in yourself. And there is a variety of different techniques, activities, strategies that we can use to be able to do those things to achieve better results for ourselves. I'll give you a couple of definitions, if you like, metaphorical definitions of NLP, which is in some ways probably a better way to try and explain it. Have I got any contact lens wearers in the room today? Anyone here that wears contact lenses? Sometimes. Yes? Yeah? Sometimes? Yeah? Okay. When you wear your contact lenses, do you see the contact lens and then the world, or do you just see the world?
Just the world.
You just see the world. Yes. Now those contact lenses are a lot like the filters that we have in our minds that filter the way in which we see the world around us and help us to believe what we believe, value what we value, and perceive the way in which we perceive them. We don't know that they're there. We don't see them, but they do affect the way in which we see things. Does that sort of make sense? Yeah? Another explanation would be the story of the frog, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. So you're sat there on the edge of a cliff face with your friend the frog, and you're looking out over the great big vast ocean, watching the sun setting in the background. And you can see that the sun is casting light across the ocean, causing some ripples of light. And the sky is filled with shades of crimson and dark purple and blue and yellow streaks. You turn to your friend the frog and you say, "Oh frog, isn't it such a beautiful sunset?" And the frog looks at you a bit confused, because frogs can only see in shades of grey and bug. And so they can't appreciate all of the other colours and all of the other beautiful things that there are to see. And what NLP can do for us is to stop us from seeing the world in shades of grey and bug. Does that make sense? Okay, good. So I'm going to plummet you into an NLP4Kids technique. This is one that we use with young people. So for the NLP people that will recognise this, it's traditionally known as a technique called perceptual positions. And it's usually used in conflict scenarios to help you to see the world from the perspective of somebody else. We use it at NLP4Kids. We tweaked it slightly, so we use it more for building self-esteem and confidence. And it enables a young person to see a situation that they don't yet feel confident in from the perspective of someone that really believes that they can do it. We do this usually with the aid of chairs, because what we have our young person do is first off answer some questions about the situation as themselves, how they feel about it at the moment. But then we ask them to pick a role model, someone that believes in them. And they move round to a different chair and take a seat somewhere else. When they sit down in the new chair, they have to pretend to be the person that believes in them. They have to be their role model. And look back at themselves and talk about the situation that they are in as their role model. With me so far? Yeah. Then they move round to a final seat where they become the observer. And as the observer, it's a fly-on-the-wall perspective. So they're not related to themselves, they're not related to the person that believes in them, they're completely separate. It's just as if we got someone from the streets of Blackfriars and brought them down here to watch the conversations that have been happening. And they then give a completely impartial outside view on what they have just seen and heard. Finally, they go back to being themselves. They go back to their own chair once again. But they've got the good advice from the role model and the good advice from the observer. But ultimately, the role model and the observer, they're not really there. So where was that good advice actually coming from? Themselves, yeah. And that's what's great about this, because it means it's all self-empowering. It's all their own self-belief. So actually the whole time they're convincing themselves. So that's what we're going to do with you here today. We use this with a young boy who had some worries about joining the school football team. Who do you think he was when he went round to be the role model? David Beckham, of course he was, yes. So he got to talk like David Beckham, think like David Beckham, act like David Beckham, and say all the things that David Beckham would have said to him had David Beckham have been there. So he got great advice back from David Beckham. Make sense? Alright, good stuff. So I'm just going to give you a final explanation of it. So can I borrow Adele and is it Zema? Yeah, can you both stand up for me and just turn your chairs back towards the others? Yeah, just turn your chairs back.